Is Mark Zubrick with the Topics of the Town News, November 19th, 2020. Tonight, I have my co-host today, Jim Morose and Matthew Duggan. Keith Lucy is finally working out of the office, so he was called off and he's working hard at some office someplace. And just for information, John Toomey is currently unavailable due to being cautious. And we appreciate John watching us, at least. He keeps tabs on us. So if we can put on the King Unwilling photo, that is becoming the motto, King Unwilling, is becoming a common sight. Remember, the colonists lived by this motto and fought to develop this democracy, even in Danvers. So we've had this, contentious existence with our colonists and the king at that time, and we continue having the same type of a contentious relationship with our government in town. The next item I have on here is our voices will be heard and they will change the world. But Albert Einstein had a quote that I used last show, and I'll use it again this show because it's very appropriate, is I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots. So the Einstein quote is so appropriate at this time in our existence in this community and also in this country. We are embarking into a new era of social engineering and development that is being taken over by the electronic media and the television medium. We are becoming couch potatoes. We're doing our show from our living rooms. Our news media has abandoned our society. Newsprint is lacking any interest in presenting multiple views of news reports. Our technology has overtaken our society. Electronic media is the norm that we have been trained to conduct. Even letters to the editor are being refused. And I put that in there because I have had letters to the editor refused by Salem News. Our news media is being hijacked for a larger interest, in part to stymie the First Amendment, rights and freedom of speech. National and local news programming is slanted to the views expressed by the media editors and program directors. Now, hopefully we don't fall into that category, but being a medium director, where do we find the truth? Even in our little enclave of Danvers, all news reporting is filtered by our town manager, and the news releases are issued only if they favor the town hall. Our news media reporters are constrained and are only reporting what is fed to them. Transparency and independent reporting is our motto. The Topics of the Town News reporting is by Danvers reporters for Danvers residents. We always report only the truth. Sometimes we do have our own opinion included. So now, Jim, you have a clip that you want to use.
Yeah, David, if you could put up that graphic there, the DCAT schedule from, I just picked the date I had it. So this is the schedule as it is on the DCAT schedule on DCAT.danvers.tv.org. And when you talk about local news, state news, federal news, and everything else, I mean, DCAT is supposed to be for local programming and things like that. And if you look at just this particular day, it's probably about the same. There's like 17 shows here, and 16 of them are not, produced at the DCAT studios. they're co-produced by someone in Danvers and brought in, but they're not produced with local talent like this show. Like, Mark and Matt and myself, we all live in Danvers, and we're doing, this is our community access, exercising our rights. And so that's what bothers me when I scan through some of these shows on this DCAT channel. I go, who's sponsoring this? But apparently, I'm not allowed to know. But that's what I was told. So I'm just telling you that there's a lot of different shows here, and they're not local people. So if anybody out there, you could be a part of this show if you want to be make a point. As long as you have a computer. Mark will give you a few minutes if you have a comment or something on anything. John Toomey would be on the show if he knew how to run his computer. But we'll have to get us some tutors. I didn't know that this thing was going to last so long. But okay, so that's all I wanted to say. The media, it's one-sided, one size fits all. And if you don't fit in that shoe, then you're classified as a malcontent. And hi, my name is Jim, and I'm a malcontent.
All right.
That's how it goes. So okay, so you can
Jim,
continue then.
Thank you very much. That really goes together with our media editors and program directors. And you and I have conducted our own shows over many years. And now the agenda on the DCAT channel is sponsored by individuals that are DCAT members, but those programs are never produced in Danvers or about Danvers. They're social engineered programs that are being shoved down our throat. So now that we got over that hurdle, now we get into our show and presentation of the news stories. Our Topics of the Town news production will consist of 4 segments. And the first segment is the recent activities of Selectmen's meeting of November 17th. And just as an introduction, I'd like to just give you a little bit of a background. Watching the presentation by the Selectmen and the filming of that presentation, the Selectmen conduct their meetings in person, but with social distancing and force all participants to wear masks. They're 10 feet apart. The public is basically 10 feet apart, but they still force people wearing masks. And I've been reprimanded many times by the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. The production of the meeting is extremely difficult to hear, as the selectmen and the participants from the public must wear their masks. It's all mumble jumble that comes through, and we really don't understand. The agenda is extremely brief, without any significant documentation for the attendees of the public. And my concern here is that they're talking about items at the selectmen's meeting by the selectmen and the town manager, but the public doesn't know what the heck they're talking about. So there's no handouts or anything. At one time, when the Board of Selectmen held their meeting remotely, the agenda included supporting documentation for the public. This was very helpful to understand what they were talking about. Now, that only happened a couple of times when they did it remotely, similar to what our show is. Need to improve the agenda and the details and allow the public access to information being discussed. Otherwise, the public is always in the dark and waiting for surprises. This is what happened at this last meeting. The only item that has been very, very well explained during this last selectmen's meeting is Matthew Duggan, new public business. Matthew, you want to go through this? I have here 107 Brad Street Avenue, open space, adverse possession, limited public access. Matthew Duggan presented issue and identified there's a problem in Danvers. Matthew, take it away.
Sure. So, we're talking about some open space on Bradstreet Avenue, which runs from Bridge Street at the Beverly line down to the river. This is just one example of open space that's been encroached upon. There's other examples that I have as well out at Choate Farm and quite a few along the rail trail, both the existing rail trail and the new expansion that's going westward. So this property at Bradstreet Avenue has become kind of an issue that I've been involved with for probably more than 3 years. When my children were young, I used to take them down there, and they would look for crabs, and we would also launch our canoes there. It was easy to park, and it was easier than going to Pope's Landing and trying to get into the water there. As everyone or most people know, river access is constrained. There's only a few locations where the public can actually walk to the water. The river banks have been developed considerably. It's very expensive there's or properties. And so for this one example on the end of Bradstreet Avenue, there's two abutters to the open space, and they've sort of taken possession of it to make it look like extensions of the yard. So if we could see image A, it's easier to describe it if you can see. So these are photographs that I've taken recently. So the pavement is the end of Bradstreet Avenue, and by law, it goes out into the channel. So anyone that owns riverbank, the access is riparian rights, and that allows people to build docks. It goes all the way out to the channel. So this open space, and it's denoted here by these red lines, and the line on the right, that's not a mistake. The property line actually goes through 1/3 of that porch. And these lines are just kind of approximate, just to give you a sense. They're 50 feet. It's 50 feet wide here, this open space corridor, and it goes right down to the water. So you can see these two fences here that the abutters installed. They're both illegal, and they're in the middle of the open space, actually. And there's a sign there that says, "Welcome to this public river access or water access." And you can see that between the fence, only maybe 6 feet wide. So for the casual observer, someone from the public that found out about this open space, they would think that they would only be allowed to go between the fences. This lawn here. Yep.
Matthew, one of the questions I had, and that red line goes right in through the porch, but also this is not a new issue. This has been going on for years, since even when I was on the Board of Selectmen. And the thing is that this thing is encroaching more and more. And finally, you and Andrea Daly and Bill Nicholson have brought this thing to the selectmen. And over the years, none of the selectmen have done anything about it.
Yeah, this property on this house here was purchased in 2008. And since then, there's been a considerable amount of improvements to it, including a retaining wall along the bank, the riverbank, and then there's a new 150-foot long dock. But this fence is illegal, and this lawn that you see, that was filled in. So that's a violation of the wetlands, because that's inside that's the 25-foot do not disturb. And I brought to the attention of the planning board beginning back in late 2017. First with the planning board or with the planning department, not the planning board, they weren't involved in this. So the planning department under Karen Nelson, and then with the open space committee, who didn't want to do anything about it. with the Conservation Commission as recently as last month when they just approved some work to a garage to the right of this house, and then one of the current board members for the selectmen. So in every case, no one wanted to do anything, and that's why it's like this. So
Well,
can we go to the next slide and get a better shot? Slide image A or B, image B. It's the images just give you a sense of what it is. You don't really get the full impact until you actually go down there and walk around. You can see just that narrow corridor, and at high tide, you can see to the left there's eel grass and kind of the natural terrain that was there. It also used to exist on the right side of the fence, but that's all been removed and filled in. And you can see behind the sign there's a little granite bench that the town installed. But at high tide, the water comes up to where the grass is. So just maybe 50 square feet of open space there at that point. So,
well, Matthew, the more relevant issue is also that every time this has been brought up, there's no money. They're looking for grants to remove or expand or improve these access points. But what Andrea Daly brought to the table at the selectmen's meeting is that the excise tax on the vessels, where are these funds spent, needs an audit for accountability of these taxes and where these taxes were spent. Andrea Daly presented and endorsed Bradstreet assertions. Andrea was very concerned with the mismanagement of excise tax receipts for the last 20 years. A waterfront recreation master plan was developed, I believe, 30 or 40 years ago, and nothing materialized.
Yep.
Go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, I think Andrea mentioned it was in 1979. She had original copy of the plan, and 40 years and nothing really has changed that she pointed out. These little parcels here, this little like a pocket park, right? There's quite a few of these around town, and they may be inventoried, but they're not protected. There's no guardianship from, like, for example, the Open Space Committee. There's no one watches for them and protects them. And this is what happens when they're left to fend for themselves. They're encroached upon and stolen from the public just for the benefit of just a few people. It's obnoxious.
They're allowed to be used by the abutters for any purpose that they want. But the thing is, somebody has to do something about it. So at the meeting, what I heard from the River Committee, that the River Committee has been inactive over the last 9 or 12 months. And Bill Nicholson stood up and advised the Board of Selectmen that the next meeting will be the week of November 20th, I believe, which is next week, Monday, possibly on Monday. But the thing is that this has been discussed, over-discussed, and nobody's doing anything about it. And this is not the only spot that is affected by this action or inaction by the River Committee or by the Board of Selectmen and the Town Hall. So anything else you want to add to this?
No, it's just one example. We're trying to see if it seems so flagrant that to ignore it just sends a message to everyone that this is okay. There's other examples along the rail trail. For example, at the corner of Charles and Pickering Street on the rail trail, the south side, a homeowner did something similar, installed a fence and planted trees under the power lines, and that's owned by the MBTA. And the town actually said that was okay to do that. And there are other examples like that as well. It's just, there's no, it's like they just look the other way.
Well, that's the Danvers way. Isn't that the way?
Yeah, it's the Danvers way is to look the other way.
Right. There you go. Now I remember the saying. All right. So let's move on. On the Board of Selectmen's meeting, we'll just like to conclude that the renewal fees for the liquor licenses, 37 liquor licenses, were presented by Gardner Trask and I believe Bill Clark, that they wanted to reduce those fees to 50%. However, all of a sudden, it went for free. So what they decided to do, and maybe rightfully so, because the businesses are hurting, and we, as a town, health director and the town management have basically closed down all the restaurants or limited them to occupancy where they can't sell their wares and they do not have the customers anymore because of our government. So maybe they did the right thing, but the one thing that we need to consider is that there is also a quarter one status of the income and revenue streams that are coming into town. And it looks like we're not going to get any relief on our real estate taxes, but our businesses deserve this. So let's say 37 licenses have been renewed for zero cost, which I understood that 50%, when they were discussing this at 50%, it was $75,000. At 100%, it's $150,000. Well, that's maybe an investment to our business community. And the only thing that I did not hear them discuss is, where is this money going to come from? Who's going to pay it? It's us, the residents with their real estate taxes. The other item that I noted on here, and I took some good notes, is that they extended the outdoor dining regulation. The one thing is that they were supposed to expire, I guess, by December 1 on the outside dining. And now they just extended them, but there was no discussion when it was going to end. So I guess the winter is going to drive the winter dining. There is no winter dining left. The other item that I picked up on this agenda is the quarter one status of the budget. The public has no access to information that was being discussed. And the thing is, was worthless for the general public to know what was going on because they did not provide a handout of where the status of the budget is. So tomorrow I'll probably go down to town hall and ask for that documentation so we can know for sure. I do some strange things sometimes. Well, when I send in my payment for the real estate taxes in August and now in November, I sent a letter in there. My letter basically says that I paid my whole amount that I was charged, but I wanted half of it to be assigned to the general government budget and the other half to be put into escrow so it can be authorized by town meeting when the education department comes back to work and starts teaching our kids. Now, the August one, I didn't even get a reply. Nobody even had the courage to reply to me. But in this case, in November, I went personally and handed over the check. And in response to the letter received, we have received your tax payment and it will be applied to your account in full. Under both local and Massachusetts general laws, we have no mechanism for placing real estate tax funds legally owed to the town into an escrow account. So the town treasurer basically covered, the behind of the town. But the thing is, we do not ask for a resolution of what type of payments we are making. They know that everybody in town is going to pay their taxes.
Okay, Mark, may I jump in here for a minute because you reminded me of something that I don't want to talk about, but you woke me up. So, the current budget, we were supposed to revisit it at the special town meeting because we didn't know what our income would be because of COVID-19 and everything else. So now we're not going to do that. So now we don't know what we don't know and how we're going to not know if we have enough money to run the budget. And again, it always brings me back to my question is every business in the country has had to beg, borrow, steal, cut their budget. What has Danvers done? What has Danvers done? The only thing I know that they cut, and I won't say it, but so you know what I'm saying, Mark? Do you have anything to add to that on that?
I have one thing to add to that is during the quarter one, which is from July to September, the update that the finance director gave, he did not mention anything about how the real estate taxes were coming in. So the only thing that they are relying on is a commitment by the state for funding the portion that they are responsible for, Chapter 70 and Chapter 91. Now, the thing is that the state lies. They are in trouble as well. They don't know where they're going to get their funds. So enough on the funding. We're going to continue this because this is not going away. And the town meeting has been canceled. And what has happened is that they're just running on the budget. But if you remember when we had the the town meeting, the annual town meeting, we were coerced into going in there because the only thing they wanted was an approval from town meeting members on the budget that they have. $123 million. And nobody even asked the question, except for me and a couple of other people. But the thing is, that's all they wanted at that time, authorization to spend the money. They don't know where it's coming from. Okay, so next item, we'd like to just give, as a continuation of the selectmen's meeting, topic number 2 is recent news updates. Our town hall decided to form a 16-member committee to determine what our flag policy will be. We'll be waiting for a response regarding the thin blue line flag raising in the future week, months, or years. We don't know. As we stated in our amendment to the town meeting, Article 2, we should have an expeditious resolution to this issue. The first meeting of this committee is scheduled for December 5th. We shall see how long this will take. The proposed flag, in remembrance and recognition of a police force, is not the American thin blue line flag, but rather the traditional thin blue line flag that is going to come on. David, if you can show the American thin blue line flag.
So, Mark, what's the name of that committee? And I kind of looked at the coming events on the Danvers homepage, and I didn't see any meeting for December 5th or anything related to a flag policy committee or a committee to flag policy or something like that.
It was mentioned at the end of the selectmen's meeting, and it may be held in private. Who knows? We don't know what the objective and mission of this committee is. David, can you show the next flag? That's the one that we're really talking about. And that one is, it's a symbol. Before we demand that any symbols be removed, we need to understand the history and the origin of each. Input must be heard from all sides. Only then will a consensus remedy to the complaint be valid. Selectmen have always been able to hear a complaint and deliberate and come up with a solution. In this case, they failed because they believed that the appointed employee would make this political decision. Now, the committee is a decision that the town manager made. The selectmen are doing whatever the town manager wants. Now, the one question I have on this is that we can show the next Danvers cruiser and then the state police cruiser. I have a question that nobody has asked. This whole issue of the thin blue line flag is a response to one or two, maybe two individuals that have been offended by this flag being flown on the fire engines. Is this a result of BLM, Black Lives Matter, as a threat to the town? Now that nobody's touched that one, but the thing is, are we being threatened? And this has been going on for a long time. The next, there's the state police has actions that have taken with conjunction of the Danvers police. And they, on November 18th, the Patch reported on the 13 kilograms of drugs confiscated by the Mass State Police. Great reporting, but only at least a month later. Danvers and state police, with cooperation of other neighboring departments, took a sizable amount of drugs from our cities and towns. Thank you, police organizations. You do deserve respect and gratitude. So I just want to, this is not going to go away. This is going to continue, but I'm just afraid that we are being threatened by organizations from outside. So I hope that's not true, but I will say it. Next item. DPW Water and Sewer Division finally accomplished the water quality issue that was identified almost 5 years ago. And it was identified at a selectmen's meeting and a budget meeting with the Board of Selectmen by me over 5 years ago. David, if you can put that clip on, Danvers Water Supply gets chlorine boosters starting this week. Excuse me. Some Danvers residents may notice discolored water this week after the town installed a chlorine booster pump, but improving the water quality. And this is basically, if we can increase the size of that, there's your clear water that we drink in this town. But in this end of town, which is the Middleton side, we have had high levels of chlorine because the tank at Folly Hill would have to get the chlorine levels all the way through into the Folly Hill tank and keep the levels at that, particular, parts per million. So now we have a booster pump that's being operated to add the chlorine downstream. So we all get same level of chlorine in our water. So thank you, Danvers DPW. It only took 5 years, but it was as a result of one person complaining but the reaction was a heck of a lot less than what happened with the thin blue line flag. Veterans Day, November 11th. I don't know, did you guys see the presentation that was on DCAT?
I saw pretty much most of it, yeah.
I have a comment here that it was a excellent presentation by DCAT, by Dick Moody and Kelly, and I can never remember her name. She used to go to school with my daughters, but she is now the veterans director in town. I was looking for the presentation on 11/11/2020, but had to wait for a rerun on Sunday. So I don't know whether it was run on the 11th hour of the 11th day, but the presentation was very good speakers, and the identification of our veteran was well received. The only physical presence on 11/11/2020 was the drive-by by the town hall. I arrived after 9 o'clock at DCAT, and the only participants that were in that motorcade were the police and one fire engine blaring their horns. So that was the demonstration, physical demonstration. Thanks to the police for recognizing of the veterans. We appreciate that. Now, story number 3, and we're doing pretty good. I think we're moving right along. I want to give a little rundown on what our plans are for November 26th, which is Thanksgiving. Now, David, if you can show the clip of the policeman at the back door of an apartment or a house, I think that will tell us everything. Each turkey of our picture of the turkeys has a name, but let's take a look at the clip. There we go. Here's the police. We know you bought a turkey that serves 10 to 12 people, and they're breaking down the door because our governor is afraid of COVID. Now, this is a personal responsibility. This is a festivity that goes on every year with our families. It's a family reunion. And we can go to the next one, David. Now, that one was supplied by my friends in the audience. And this was so appropriate after hearing what the Governor Baker is trying to improve the COVID transmission by limiting the number of people that you can have at your home. This is still a democracy, isn't it? Don't we have any freedom? So each turkey, David, if you can show the turkeys that we talked about, each turkey, last year I went and got 5 turkeys, ceramic turkeys. This is not one of them, but this is a appropriate representation. This particular one really resembles, the Board of Selectmen altogether, because they don't know what they're doing anyway. The town management has not embarked on the governor's health submissions that our health department has been enforcing. But the thing is, every single one of these is a guideline. It's not a law. And the people need to realize that we're going overboard. So I have recent Governor dictator actions, town management falling in line with these rules. These rules are again guidance, but now carry fines. Here's a turkey that we should have, and we should shoot bows and arrows at it. Now, new COVID rules and fines. November 16th special town meeting has been canceled. Thanksgiving, according to the governor, is limited to 10 to 12 people. And how will that go? It's basically canceled. That's what they're trying to do. This is the cancel culture. Now, we're also talking about Christmas. What about it? Is that going to be canceled too? So, I think that's enough about Thanksgiving. We need to enjoy our families, and we need to expand our circle of acquaintances and neighbors. So now, Matthew, you got anything about Thanksgiving? Any good stories?
I think Thanksgiving was canceled for this year.
Oh, you are right with the governor, aren't you, Jim?
It's for your own good.
Well, I heard that like the college kids, they didn't want them to go home, and they wanted them to stay and over the holidays. But if they leave, they're going to test them. So if they don't have the COVID, then they can go, and that just kind of limits the risk. I mean, family is family, and people that were, it's what are you going to do? People have families, and people want to get together, and as long as I think they said 2 families, right?
Yep.
As long as everyone, you have to be respectful. People need to know if you've got the disease, and you got to self-quarantine. If you don't, then then there's no issue. Right?
But the problem
that's all you got to know.
But the problem is
Yeah.
that we can't even figure out whether we have the disease or not. And it's a virus, it's not a disease. So the medical societies are also, I was just reading this Great Barrington Declaration, is that we're harming our population more by restricting their access to their friends and relatives. And there are people that have not seen their grandkids or their children because their children are afraid that this is such a epidemic, or pandemic they call it now. So now we are isolating ourselves because they don't want us to communicate. This is an isolation effort. So let's move on, because I think this is not going to get any better. On this Barrington Declaration, I think that's something that we should all read, because it's a explanation of what is actually happening. Jim?
Okay, Mark. Yeah. I mean, see, and that's the thing about the media and the narrative, right? You only get to hear one side of the narrative. The world is not, one-sided. There's always 2 sides of every issue, and you have to take both sides, and you got to put them together and come up with the best decision. But if you're only going to look at the socialist side and the dictatorship side, I mean, we got stories of the hypocrisy all over the place, where the people, they just went down to Hawaii and had a big boondoggle, and they're, oh no, we were outside. They got pictures of them inside. All these, elected officials. We have a very important meeting. Yeah, and they're all down there, no mask, no nothing, because what do you think they know that we don't know?
That's right.
They're not telling us. Exactly. I rest my case.
Matthew, you got anything on that?
Well, I think the testing isn't sufficient, right? I saw, I think, in the news yesterday up in Lawrence, people were waiting for 3 hours or more to get tested. Granted, it was for free, but I think other venues where you make an appointment, it's the wait could be weeks. So going and waiting in a parking lot somewhere is the best hope. But the time these people get tested, I think it's a false sense of security, right? The testing has never been sufficient. People should be able to get tested. I think they're coming out with a self-test where you can go out back and test yourself, which sounds like a lot of.
CVS is coming out with a strip that you can just like testing your pool. But the problem is what do these tests really accomplish? What do they identify? They are false readings all the time. And the thing is, what does it really do?
Yeah, that's right. Who was that guy? Elon Musk or something? He took 4 tests in one day, right? Because he wanted to know if he had it or not. 2 came back positive, 2 came back negative. So, what do you think? Well, he's a multimillionaire, so he can afford to do whatever the heck he wants.
So he couldn't go to the launch. So the testing is, if it's accurate, it will be able to do the contact tracing, right? So I think other countries have found that to be very effective, perhaps Australia, where when they identify someone that's, got the virus, that they can track it backwards and to see who else may have been in contact with the person. But I haven't seen that too much here in the U.S.
Well, yeah, I mean, we got that here. I mean, we got protocols at work. I get emails all the time of people. Okay, we have a COVID, incident at this building. It was it. They don't tell you who it is, but we know who the person is. We've talked to them. They've done the interview. They find out who they went to. They get them people. They have them either self quarantine or go get tested. And then they know that they got to go back and do the same thing. So that's how it works. It's no different than how we did everything. It's like back when the AIDS epidemic, right? That was a big paranoia thing, right? Everyone wanted to get tested, know if they had it, and if you had it, then it's up to you at that point in time to be responsible and self quarantine and stay away from people once you know you got it. That's it.
Okay, the next, David, the next clip I like to show is the lobbying, the old gentleman sitting there on the side. And in the clip that I have, and this is related to the state and federal elections, continue. And this is a clip. In America, they call it lobbying. Everywhere else in the world, they call it bribery and corruption. All of our government has been bought and sold many times over. The cost and effort to get elected to more than a local town office takes thousands or even millions of dollars of contributions. When the lobbying begins and the candidates with good will get caught up into providing favors. So, our elections continue. President election is ongoing right now. The counting continues. However, that's a big national issue. And Jim, you want to contribute something on this? Because
I do. I thought I heard something really funny today. I try not to pay attention because I've been practicing my my serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, there's a lot more to that prayer, but that's the basic. But I did hear Rudy Giuliani giving a press conference, and they were asking him the same stupid questions over and over again. Well, is the president going to sue this state? Is the president going to sue these people? And this? And Rudy Giuliani said, well, maybe a better question you should ask is, why is it that these states and all these counties have computer, what do you call it, the Dominion computers that are foreign and they're owned in the servers that all the information went to are in Germany, and it's owned by Venezuelans who are part of the Hugo Chavez Maduro cartel. But you're worried about suing when we've just outsourced our election to a bunch of thieves and talk about, foreign intervention in our elections. We sent all our information out to an unsecure server in another country. But would you hear that on the real news, the fake news, or any place? You will not. You will not hear that. So I said it. Now I'm moving up on the list.
Jim, this is all called lobbying in this country. That's who's doing the lobbying. But everywhere else in the world, they call it bribery and corruption. So now, one thing that I like to mention, and I think we did last show, is that we'd like to congratulate State Representative for the 13th District covering Danvers, West Peabody, and parts of Middleton. Sally Kearns was the Democratic candidate. Congratulations and best wishes. You will be called on to serve our community. So Sally, get ready. Our next items that I have included in here, we're doing well on time, is closing comments. But before we get to the closing comments, I have a couple of items that I have mentioned here on my outline. Questions from our viewers. I have been asked many times at Market Basket, at Shaw's, at Kohl's, whatever, run into people. Why do we do this show? Why do I do this show? What is the incentive? And I think it's the presentation of the views of what's going on in Danvers itself. The outside media, the national, the local, the state, will not report very much on Danvers. And if they do, they report it a month later before something comes across their screen. I received a document or news media presentation today from Danvers something. Danvers, it was in with the coupons for the grocery stores. And they were reporting on the thin blue line flag. They were reporting on the town meeting. They were reporting on the state police confiscating drugs. But it's only a month or 2 months later that they report on this stuff. So what we want to do is we want to bring this to you, and primarily it comes from the selectmen's meeting, because that's the only time you get any information that they discuss. The town hall won't give you any news releases unless they want to. And the next question I have here is, why do you have guest speakers and why not more are available? Well, I just want to thank both of you and Keith and John Toomey for being co-hosts or guests or associates with this program, because that is what's important. It's important for you to compliment or tell me I'm wrong. And that's what I think it's important. And the questions that come back from these people that are, running into us, and you probably have the same issues. Why do we have guest speakers? It's to expand the view of what we're talking about. And every one of us, Matthew, you have your own views. Jim, you have your own. Keith has his own. John Toomey definitely has his own, but he's keeping them to himself right now. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get John back into service here, because he has been a great contributor over the years. So now what I like to do is the next broadcast of this show is going to be on December 3rd. And what I'm going to concentrate on is Christmas, because that's something that we've done in the last 2 years. We've gone into December 6th, which is St. Nicholas Day. And it's in Eastern Europe and in all of Europe, basically. It's a gift-giving opportunity for the kids. And Christmas is non-commercial. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this into a better spirit, because the governor wants to take Christmas away too. And the town hall will definitely fall in line. So, closing comments. Jim?
Will Danvers have a Christmas tree? I don't know. We'll find out.
Well,
They usually do. And will we have our? But yeah, that's a good point. Christmas, it's the holiday season, and it's all about the spirit. We have to get in, the spirit of giving, the spirit of loving, and not the spirit of confrontation and political polarization. We gotta step beyond that. We gotta step beyond the darkness and the fear, the doom and gloom of the winter of darkness, as Joe Biden put it. Of this COVID-19, we're going to lock it down, and we're never going to come out until we think we're all going to get better. No, we have to do what you can where you are with your family and the friends that that you have. Everybody's got their close little knit groups of for family, extended family and friends, neighbors. Get together, enjoy life. Don't let this stupidity bother you. Live it, baby, because you're only going to come this way once. Don't let this craziness interfere with you. Remember the serenity prayer. Be serene, and don't let the craziness get to you.
All right.
And God loves you all.
Matthew?
Just two quick things. The first is Thanksgiving. So for the past 10 years or so, I've helped out through the Ma Dukes
Yes.
Thanksgiving delivery, cooking and delivery. I think last year was more than 2,000, maybe close to 2,500. So this year she's not able to do that. She will be doing gift cards. So if anyone is interested in helping her out, they can see her at the Jimmy's Roast Beef at 75 High Street. Make a donation. I don't think she's doing a GoFundMe page this year. I haven't seen one. But she's definitely still looking to help people out in the area that may not otherwise be able to get a Thanksgiving dinner. I think you can also get one from, if you search Walmart. Walmart will give you a free Thanksgiving dinner. You can check that. And then the other thing is the Parade of Trees from the Danvers Historical Society. It's a way that they generate some revenue this time of year. It's a 12th annual Parade of Trees. You can go online, and you have to register ahead of time for only allowing a few people in at a time. So you got to make a reservation. So danvershistory.org, scroll down to the bottom of the page, Parade of Trees.
All right. Thank you, Matthew. That was great. I totally forgot about Ma Dukes. And last year we had her on, as a contributor to the show. But she was very instrumental over the years. So there's no dinners that she's going to be serving this year. Is that true?
That's true. No, she's not cooking. She's only giving out gift cards to the families that she's identified.
So therefore, it's our opportunity to contribute to her efforts because she has been instrumental over the years. The last thing that I like to do is I like to put up our final clip. And David, if you can put the town hall front door up, I will speak to it because I am very disgusted with what's going on in town hall. But they are, oh, this is getting small. You're making that door real small. That's what they would like. The thing is that the town hall is somewhat open. Selectmen are hiding in their bunkers. and we have seen that at the last selectmen's meeting as well. A lack of leadership and direction to the community. We need the selectmen to get out there and lead this community. The town management has only vengeance